So Kishore, really love to know what are the, within AgriTech, we've seen a lot of traction in the past few years. We've chatted about this earlier as well. What are the specific segments or areas you see in AgriTech that are driving growth, and why do you feel so?
Okay, great. So I have not done a specific preparation, but I will talk just general learning
Yeah,
for
yeah,
last
absolutely.
11 years and
Absolutely, absolutely.
what we have learned for last 11 year while working at ground zero, and the nuances, the struggles, the that all the that firefightings, all these things what we have learned. So what we see here, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, what we see here that when we started in 2011 from Bihar, we chose to have a significant intervention on a post-harvest side. But definitely, when we started engaging with the farmer and discussing about the post-harvest side, we also learned lots of hardship in the that crop life cycle, like in terms of their other challenges, like that input, the credit, and knowledge, the informations, the knowledge, and all that. But on the pre-harvest side, the mostly what I learned that they have a big challenge of the working capital. 70 to 80% farmer, they borrow money at 4 to 5% interest rate from money lender, Aratia, and all that village level money lenders, right? And no one speaks that, right? So 70 to 80% borrowing happens privately. Even
Mm,
today, the farmer borrowing, average borrowing cost is 18 to 20%, right?
mm,
40 45% farmer even they have never reached to the institutional finance, right? So this is the one thing which I have seen, that if that significant intervention happens, right, with a complete and clear, business model, that how to ensure that the operational cost is low, your cost of
right.
credit is low, so that you can bring down their borrowing cost. Because if
Mm,
yourself is bringing a high cost capital to the
mm,
farm gate, it is not
mm,
survival, it's, sustainable. So in
mm,
pre-harvest side, we learned that the working capital is the one. The
mm,
second is the quality inputs.
mm,
Still, they are dependent on the local seed sellers and all that, and they sell what they want to sell. They sell
mm,
where they get the best margin, right?
mm,
But luckily, there are lots of intervention happening on the input side also. But unfortunately, they are not reaching to the last mile. Again, they are going and supplying to the local retailers, because they are actually the nearby shops for the farmers. So they have lots of credit arrangement again to the farmers. So these local input sellers, they are getting support from these that startups who are bringing input material and supplying them on credit, and they're giving a lots of fees to them to scale up their business. But eventually it is not impacting the farmers the way it should be. There are lots of growth is coming from the input distribution as well, but again it's a creating, or maybe I would say making a smooth supply chain for the retailers in the villages, right? So there I can see that input is the one where if it can go to the last mile, because I see that Amazon and Flipkart have started delivering in the villages, right? For the cosmetics or apparel or consumer durables goods. Why not the farmer can also do this? Since our current construct, the current e-commerce, that agri input companies, distribution companies, they are not intended to build the capability to service last mile, right? So they have a whole dependency on the retailers as even today, right? Honestly speaking, that's my experience. I may be wrong, I'm not sure, but I in my vicinity we operate around 230 odd locations, 3 states, more than I think 7,000 villages. But we have not seen a single farmer is placing any order on the mobile app and getting their
mm,
inputs delivered. So this input side definitely is the huge scope. Again, machine and equipments, uh, there is no advisory. Like when you want to buy a car, you go to the lots of websites and do the lots of analysis that which car you need to buy, what is your requirement, whether you want to go for long drive or maybe the city drive, or you want diesel, petrol, what. So there are lots of advices is required. But definitely these equipment company, they must be doing lots of consultation when they walk into their store. But that is again biased, like when they come to their store and they sell the tractor or equipment and machine. But There also I see a lots of that opportunity coming up, which will drive the growth in agri-tech space. On a post harvest side, definitely the farmer are they're fragmented, they have small holdings across the geography, and people have done lots of intervention on a post harvest side, going and buying grain in the harvest season. But that's not the solution. Solution is actually when you build capability to hold that grain and enable him to sell later, then they make 30-40% higher income. And that doesn't only solve the purpose of the off season sale and the price optimization, but also solve a problem of cash flow. Because why their borrowing is high? Because they do not have the loan repayment track record, they do not have asset to pledge it, apart from few product like KCC and all, where the land data and the land record is recorded and pledged. Grain becomes the assets which can be pledged, and they can raise loan at very low cost, because it's a highly marketable that assets. So we need actually an arrangement where the people should put effort to not encourage farmer to sell in the season, because the farmer is the biggest risk taker, right? And the way the entire industry has evolved, that we proved that farmer is not capable to take further risk, because the commodity price risk, farmer is not capable to take it. Come on, that's not the truth. Farmer have grown the grain without thinking what will be my harvest price, right? They have no clue about it. There will be a Ukraine war and the price will go rocket high, and either they will come down again. Wheat has gone to 3,300 rupees and come down to 2,500 rupees. Even though on my platform, if you see the wheat which was being sold by the farmer in the season at 1,900, it gone to 3,300. So these all things are supposed to be enjoyed by the farmer. There I see the biggest growth driver, if you see that market linkage side, where it's a huge market. I think 6 lakhs crore, the worth of grain every year comes into the market, and farmer end up selling everything within 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. Simply, if you keep the space, give them an ability to sell even a small quantity, and use technology to connect the buyers and processors and the lenders, it can really unlock a huge value. But yes, there is a bit of price risk element, which farmer has a huge appetite to enjoy that. So there I see that 3 aspects or 4 aspects. One is your input side, the last mile engagement should be there. That will be the growth driver in coming time. The second is your the working capital. The working capital should be available to the farmer in single digit. If you can minimize your operational cost, if you can minimize your cost of funds, so that the farmer can borrow in a single digit annually, I'm saying 8 to 10% interest rate on their own capacity, not through any groups or self-help groups or producer groups and all that. So that if they borrow on their own capacity, you have a complete traceability on the usability of the fund, so that you can build a product basis the pattern of cash flow. Right? You cannot give him entire season capital in a one go. They will end up spending everything in a non-essential part. So you have to give him a working capital as and when the sowing, irrigation, fertilizer requirement over next 270 days or 260 days, whatever the crop cycle. And the third is your market linkage, which is one of the most crucial, where the value addition has to be on the table. So going in the season and buying him from farmer and giving him 20 paisa, 30 paisa extra is not going to help him, right? So this 3 piece, I see that a huge scope, and this will be the driving, but we need lots of on-ground execution capability. Then only you can bring value to the farmer. Otherwise, it will not sustainable. Neither you will be able to generate profit for yourself or not to the farmer.
Where do you see technology coming in to facilitate all this?
So my experience is that unless you work harder to enable farmer to start using it, you won't have organic traffic, right? If you build capability, if you bring the technology in such a way that farmer have a compulsion to come to your platform, like let's say everyone knows the paise ka bhasa, right? If farmer knows it, if I come to this app and if I can sell my grain, if I borrow money from the financial institutions at so and so interest rate, if I can buy this input on this platform and my input can be delivered to my doorstep, if these adoption happens, then for to the farmer. Otherwise, if you are keeping farmer away from the tech, then the real value will not be unlocked. So we have to think that way, and we have to bring technology close to the farm gate, involve farmer, bring them in the mainstream, and maybe it's an assisted model. You have to go through the assisted model to the then reward them. We do a lots of reward programs so that you use the platform and adopt it. So there I see that scope of the tech involvement. Yeah.
Do you see a lot of players, whether traditional players or new age tech players, do you see a lot of players doing that at the farmer level, or that kind of sort of change is still yet to come in this country?
No, even maybe not other country. Firstly, if I talk about India, it's the largest 140, 150 million farmers. If I talk about, there are the tech intervention happening at a very high level, like, you can call it like Uber level. So Uber level things like let's say if government wants to come up with some schemes that they want some satellite data of the country or the state, right, or the district, the banks and the government may take some decisions, but not at the micro level. Like what is happening in your field today, how much yield is expected. Suddenly, wheat crop is going very well, and overnight some hailstorm comes and thousands and thousands acre of wheat get damaged. Whose crop, whose field got affected, how much their income will be affected. That level data is still not available as per my knowledge, right? So that where you need to completely go deeper to the each farm level, each farmer portfolio level, because each farmer is a unit. It's a business unit, right? They have some input and expenses and income and all that. So technology, I think, unless there is a organic traffic, unless there is a organic data coming in terms of their income, expenses, the pattern of expenses, where is the field, what he is growing, whether he is switching the crop, or why he switched the crop, what was the input cost pattern, how he is saving the cost. These all data has to come in the system, and for that level, I think there is no intervention. There is no any such solutions available in the country. So maybe the way the industry has evolved, most of the time we have seen that they are servicing other side of the customer. Maybe let's say banks and financial institutions, exporters and traders and processors, exchange and all that. So this table has to turn, right? You have to have now even today the input companies. I don't know. I don't know. The input distribution companies, surprisingly, they've become the biggest distributor of the manufacturer. They are not an input supplier to the farmer. They are basically working on how to maximize the sale of input companies, right? So it's a two different approach, right? When you service customer, like you want something in Gurgaon, and how I can conveniently and cost effectively I need to deliver it to you, that orientation will be different than if I am a distributor of, let's say, Levi's jeans, right? So that's the mindset difference that need to be changed, I think.
Okay. Any examples of what you said being done outside India in, let's say, developed economies or other sort of agrarian economies?
Yeah, so see, unfortunately or fortunately, India is a small and marginal farmers country. So that's why every solution has to be customized in such a way that if you are getting an order value of, let's say, $2, okay, or $3, in the foreign country where they have a land size is very large, so their unit economics is different, their MOQ is different, and their viability level is different, right? Uh, our country, the most of the time, if you see the raw grain value is different, the farmer realization is lower. So the business model has to be absolutely according to your socioeconomic, the environment, like how much farmer is the average spending. Like we spend, let's say, 13,000 rupee per acre on wheat, right? And we get 1.5 metric ton, which has a worth value of, let's say, 30,000 rupees. So the entire value proposition has to be based on a farmer going to spend 12,000 rupee in next, let's say, 180 days. He will get, 1.5 metric ton after 6 months, and that 1.5 ton he will be selling and getting a 30,000 rupee in his hand. So entire cash flow, entire the product propositions, the value proposition has to be like this. So if you go to the other country where if the commodity value change, if the produce value changes, if the input cost changes, the entire delivery of the services and the product will be different, right? So there I see that the customization is must for the country's socioeconomic, the land holding, the crop pattern and the crop value and the input cost.
Got it. Got it. This is very helpful, Kishore. Thank you so much for your time.